Phantom, the Phantom. The natives call him the ghost who walks. The Tom saw him when he talks. The Phantom, the Phantom. Welcome back, my fellow agents. It is I, X7, your host of Zenrama, the podcast of heroes and monsters. Now, we do have a little change of pace here today because today, February 17th, 2026, is the 90th anniversary of the debut of The Phantom. The Ghost Who Walks, Kit Walker, The Man Who Never Dies. Premiered February 17th, 1936, 90 years ago. So he's like 5 years, this is like 5 years away from falling into public domain. So keep that in mind. But I promise we'll do Crab Monsters tomorrow. We'll just forego the whole merchandise sort of thing and do that next week because I want to do that. But today we are going to be talking about the Saturday Superstar movie, The Man Who Hated Laughter. But before we get too much further into it, please like, share, subscribe, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know what you think about The Phantom. Let me know what you think about comic strips in general. Just leave me a comment. Did you watch the Saturday Superstar movies? I wouldn't blame you if you didn't, but I did because they had some good episodes there, some not so good ones, and most of them I don't even remember. But having said all that, are you ready? The jungle drums are calling, so let's roll. So, the Saturday Superstar movie. This was a 1 hour, filled a 1 hour time slot. So they're, were they really movies? They ran 45 to 48 minutes long. Generally, a bunch of previously licensed characters would show up there. I believe there were some new ones off and on. It ran for 2 seasons, sort of. There were 20 episodes. 17 episodes in the first season and a whopping 3 in the second. But the second season has the one most of us would know, the Lost in Space cartoon pilot that was never produced either. Most of them were not. They had things like the Mini Munsters and Nanny and the Professor that were adapted. That Girl in Wonderland, guess where she went? Daffy Duck and Porky Pig Meet the Groovy Ghoulies, which is really strange because Filmation was using Warner Brothers characters. I remember seeing that, but it's been a very long time. The Banana Splits in Hocus Pocus Park, which was mostly cartoon and not as much fun as the live action Banana Splits. A Bewitched spinoff, Lassie and the Rescue Rangers, which did turn into a series. I think it was the only one. A Gidget movie, which, how many of us knew who Gidget was at that point in time? I would have been 7 and 8, and I did not. But today we are talking about The Man Who Hated Laughter. And that was one I was very interested in watching. Oh, the Brady Kids had a movie which did spin off into a 2-season run for them. So it's technically The Man Who Hated Laughter, but a lot of people know it as Popeye Meets the Man Who Hated Laughter. And we start out here. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's watch the opening of the Saturday Superstar movie there. How about that?
The Saturday Superstar movie.
Hey, it's Yogi Bear.
If I only had me spinach.
The Saturday Superstar movie.
It sure is a catchy little tune, isn't it, though? It gets in your mind. So we start out in the White House, and the chief is talking on the phone to one of his minions. Well, actually, he's got the heroes from King Syndicate's shows. That would be Flash Gordon there with Lothar, the um, Mandrake's partner, Mandrake the magician. Now I knew that the heroes were going to be in here. I thought that it would be all about them. I was so naive. But somebody has is plotting to capture and kidnap all of the other King Syndicate's comic strips because he's evil, and that's his assistant. I don't even know what this guy's name is. Mr. Beasley. No, maybe not. Maybe Lou. I don't know. So there's the Phantom, uh, Steve Canyon, Flash, Lothar, and Mandrake the Magician. And they're assigned to keep track of them. And then we cut into The Man Who Hated Laughter, directed by Jack Zander, who has no clicky here. And there is our villain, Professor Morbid Grimsby, who is actually quite funny in this. He's the funniest thing in here. Even as a kid, I was annoyed that it was not very funny. And I read comic strips, mostly the Peanuts, which had nothing to do with King, or at least this show movie. So he hates laughter. And his assistant is Brutus, not Bluto, Brutus, who are the same person, more or less. But he's called Brutus here, and he and Professor Morbid or Grimsby has won the prestigious Meany Award 6 years in a row, and he wants to win for a seventh time. Which, of course, why wouldn't he? There's his presenters. Everyone's booing him because that's what they do. And he's got this gigantic computer which gives out a ha. And that's the nickel that Brutus gets paid. And he gets every other Sunday off, but he's such a dunderhead. So the uh, Bob McFadden did all the voices except for, he did most of the voices. He did Brutus. He did the professor. He does everybody else except for Popeye and Wimpy and any of the women and young kids. We'll get into those when they show up, when they have already. There is Popeye, voiced by Jack Mercer, longtime Popeye actor. And he does Popeye and J. Wellington Wimpy, who will gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. But Popeye's in the tub looking at ships with a telescope. Sweet Pea shows up. Sweet Pea is voiced by Corinne Orr, who we know from Speed Racer, Marine Boy, and, tons of other things. And he calls Olive to say, we've just I'm a captain in a ship, and we're going to go on a cruise. And she runs over and with her bikini. And Popeye's still in his bathrobe and probably has nothing else on. I don't know who thought this would be good for kids. It was produced by Hal Segar. This says directed by Hal Segar and Jack Zander, but let's see. Production companies: King Features Syndicate, Hal Segar Productions, Zander's Animation, and Parlor, with a U in it, so maybe something from U. It is on ABC, which was Channel 9 out here at the time, and was unleashed October 7th, 1972. And Wimpy's his second mate or first mate, and he's getting first, second, and crew, so he's getting prepared because he wants hamburgers. Who can blame him? Dagwood. Now, this was a long-running joke in the Blondie comics. That's her hapless husband, Dagwood. He always runs into the mailman who gives him his. And apparently, he's next door neighbors with Hi and Lois. That's Hi there. Beetle gets invited, but the rest of his cast of characters does not. They're eating Chinese. There's some more General Half-Rack. I don't know what his name is. It's been ages since I've read any Beetle Bailey. The professor even has a bug spray to get rid of the ha. And there they are, the SS Hilarious. Popeye captaining. That's Tiger and Quincy. I don't remember them at all. And there's all of Popeye's spinach. And he says, welcome aboard. There's Mama from the Katzenjammer Kids. And what are these kids' names? Hans and Fritz. Too bad it wasn't Hans and Franz. And they're just little troublemakers. But all of their crew got in there. I don't know what their foils' names are. there's the captain, and apparently Sarge has made his way at home, but they take off. They rescue him, so he's on anyway. And that is, geez, Henry, I believe. I don't remember him much, but he never talks. There's his parents. He hooked up Sarge, so he saved him, and they get all his fish. So now they've got dinner. Dinner is served, everyone. And there is Snuffy Smith, right? Yes, and his wife, who I don't know what her name is. There's a Dagwood burger, and that's their horse, who also has a name that I don't know. It's been decades. They say it on there. Now, Brutus sees that olive oil is there, so of course, the horse is eating all the instruments. She starts singing about looking. Don't I look? I don't remember. That's this song gets replayed a lot. Seemed like every time we changed the channel, this song was back on. The kids try to do some mischief and throw a spyglass at her, and her measurements are 10, 10, 10, so it doesn't even work. But Brutus, it works on Brutus. He gives the professor a kiss, and they're bringing him here on automatic pilot. He tells them they need to get off board. They need to get off board because they're staying here forever. And there it goes. It's disintegrated, and except for the spinach, which falls to the bottom of the sea. So remember, if this happens now, we're going to be seeing that spinach later on. There is the plane, nice looking plane with three of our heroes. That would be Mandrake, Lothar, and Steve Canyon flying out there. And the professor's trying to scare him away with his holographic projector, but because that Mandrake gestures magically. Now, originally Mandrake could hypnotize people, but eventually he got to be a real magician, I guess. Then he went back. All of the magicians that you see, Zatara, this is why they dress like that, because of Mandrake. They were all copying him for the most part. He Morbid tilts the computer, gets watered. There's the gruesome island, which is zapping the heroes. It grabs a net. So they call Flash Gordon in his rocket ship and there's Dale. So Dale is uncredited. Once again, Corrine is voicing Dale. And they just lifted these drawings right out of the comic books because all different styles. Obviously, this came from a film print. There were also a couple of Captain Crunch cereal commercials in here for Jean Lafitte and his Cinnamon Toast Cinnamon Crunch, and just the regular Captain Crunch, I think. But I cut them out. He lands, he swims aboard, gets on the island, and these are some nifty looking. They're right out of the comic strip. They've got claws and a zapper. Flash, in his wisdom, decides to punch one. He regrets that. And then he tricks them into fighting each other and destroying them, which the professor is not happy about. But unfortunately, he loses his walkie-talkie, so now he can't talk to anybody. And he falls down in a trap where the first three are caught. This is where they are. This is where the professor is, and I'm assuming that the rest of the island is full of the comic strip comics. Snuffy Smith has his jug, which, we're not told what's in his jug, but if you're a grown-up, you know that should have 3 X's on the side of it because it's moonshine. And he tries to get it back, and the girl is little Iodine, which who would name their child Iodine? I don't remember her being in the comics, and I think Snuffy was out of most of the comics by this time as well. They're sending him out with a message, but unfortunately, he ends up right back where he was, and his wife yells at him. But suddenly, there's a skull-shaped rock, and it opens up with the Phantom and Tim Tyler. It's a good thing Tim Tyler's lucky, or that skull-shaped rock wouldn't have been there. So now he's trying to help him out, and I don't remember them getting this much screen time because I think we were kind of channel surfing because couldn't handle all of the comic strips. And now, not the 11 o'clock news, and we're going to pause for a station identification. You are watching Zenorama, the podcast of heroes and monsters on KXNO, part of the Zenorama Broadcasting Network. We now return you to our regularly scheduled program. So the professor streams the 11 o'clock news, which is pretty late. So, of course, they're in a different time zone because they're out in the middle of the ocean. And there he is. They're talking about the South Sea where all the comics are. There's audio issues, so he can't understand the general. And now he's going to go introduce himself to the comics, and he wants to look his best. There he is. They want to trick him into, buying some time so that they can see if they can get rescued. And unfortunately, the Professor Morbid has built his castle on an active volcano. What a surprise! Not. Phantom looks good here, though. Every, all of it does. It's not the most extensive animation out there, but it's not horrible. I mean, for Saturday morning, it's serviceable. And look, Devil's shown up. And now they're putting on a show. Let's get the gang together and put on a show and see if we can make the professor laugh. He'll let us go. Like really, he wants six. He's got six meanies. You think he's gonna let him go? But so Popeye imitates Ed Sullivan. There's a Dot. No, it's one of the Flagstaff kids and Daisy, the Bumstead's dog. And there's Otto. And now, how did he get on there? We didn't see him go on there. And they're all having a grand old time. Not the professor, who's got several choice remarks about it. There's this random cougar mountain lion on here who attacks the Phantom. He tells Devil not to, but they subdue it and he lets it live, which doesn't do it any favors. There's the lava, or maybe magma. And Olive tells these two, Iodine and Quincy, to go out and vamp. So they do a little number. Tim Tyler's got a rope because he's lucky. And the Phantom gets across. And Brutus is worried until he realizes that he has an idea. He dresses up like a knight. The Mandrake conjures up Prince Valiant, who isn't even, he's a King Syndicate star, so it's not even surprising, but you don't even think, I didn't even remember him in there. He's in it for like 5 seconds, scares Brutus, and off he goes. He sends him back to eternity. Oh, wait, that's Kid Eternity. Never mind. I don't know. Dagwood's just dopey. Oh, he wants a sandwich. So the kids are going up to bed, and they make him a Dagwood. Look at the size of this thing. Apparently, of course, in cartoons, you can defy the laws of gravity for a couple of seconds. Quincy gets tired, but then he drops it, and it goes through right in front. Who look shocked, and I don't remember who says, that's some sandwich. And now the professor's had enough. He's going to go get those kids. They start making faces. They laugh at him. They show him his reflection. He laughs. He's turned face. He's a good guy now. We got to get off the island. It's going to blow up. All right, I've got a submarine. Let's go. Down they go. Olive, because she's just flighty as anything and fickle, throws herself at Steve Canyon. Like with Popeye right there. She doesn't care. Devil rescues Little Dot. Popeye has to tie up Brutus because he keeps trying to do the women and children first thing. And they get on a yellow submarine. This is not the town they were born in. And then they get stuck. But there's a spinach. Popeye gets shot out of the torpedo tube. Da, 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 da. In the original comics, Popeye was just a strong, old, salty sailor. The spinach thing came about probably after the Fleischers used it. I don't know 100%. I used to know this. I am a big original Popeye fan from back in the Thimble Theater days. But it's just, and spinach does not make you stronger. It'll keep you regular, but it won't make you stronger. And there we go. He rescues him, and Olive comes out to yell at him. They should have just put her in the torpedo. She is one of the big 5 of evil women in genre history. I'll tell you who they are someday. We'll have an episode about that. So they're all having lunch, and the professor and Dagwood both want big sandwiches. And there is, who did we decide that? Mr. Beasley? I don't know who that is. Anyway, no, that's not the news reporter. Anyway, Bosworth here shows up and says, the chief will be back, but he's busy. Enjoy the food. Everyone's happy. The chief is reading the comics. And that is it. Now, I wasn't impressed with this because I didn't see all of I'm still not. I don't hate it. It's nice to see Flash and Mandrake, Lothar, and the Phantom. This is their first animated appearance. That wouldn't happen again for like 15 more years for Defenders of the Earth. There's all who they're created by: Lee Falk, High and Lois, Tiger, Quincy, Prince Valiant, Little King. I don't even remember seeing him in there. Like, actually, I do. So, produced by King Features and the Saturday Superstar movie. So there we have. They actually put out a coloring book about this. I had no idea. I mean, even at 8 years old, yeah, I think I'd have been close to 8 because this was no, I'd have been 7, close to 8, 7.5. I was not impressed at the time. I'm still not that impressed. Once I said that already, yes. But tomorrow we will have the Attack of the Crab Monsters. Excuse me. And until our next assignment, my fellow agents, this is X7 signing off, phasing out. And remember, the sun never sets on those who ride into it.
More superstars than you've ever seen. Each week on
The Saturday Superstar movie.
you'll see Daffy Duck and Porky Pig, the Groovy Ghoulies, Yogi Bear and Boo Boo, Snagglepuss, and the whole gang. Nanny and the Professor, Butch, Hal and Waldo, Oliver and the Artful Dodger, the Banana Splits, Lassie, Dr. Frankenstein, the Bride of Frankenstein, Igor, Dracula, the Mummy, the Werewolf, the Creature, the Invisible Man, the Invisible Woman, the Invisible Kid, also Tabitha, Adam, and the Clown Family, Batgirl, Robin Hoodnick, Willie Mays, Gidget, Dagwood, Blondie, Olive Oil, and Popeye, the Red Baron, all on
Saturday Superstar movie.